Welcome back to the channel. Rare coins all world. You might be wondering, what's so special about a quarter? Well, today we're diving into the fascinating world of a specific quarter that could be worth far more than just 25 cents. In fact, it could be worth more than $90,000. If you're a fan of rare coins or just someone who enjoys discovering hidden treasures, stick around because this one's a real gem. Today, we're talking about the 1965 United States quarter, a coin that, on the surface, might seem like any other quarter you might find in your pocket change. But trust me, this one has a story to tell, and it could potentially change the way you look at your spare change from now on. Let's set the stage. The year 1965 was a significant time in American history. The U.S. was embroiled in the Vietnam War, the civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and a new era of cultural shifts was beginning to take shape. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was churning out millions of coins, including the ever-popular quarter. But little did anyone know, the coins being produced during this period would hold some valuable secrets. Among these coins was the 1965 quarter, a year that would later become famous in the world of numismatics. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a significant change in the way quarters were made. For the first time, the mint started striking quarters with a copper-nickel-clad composition rather than the traditional silver. This change came about due to a shortage of silver and rising production costs. The result? Quarters that were no longer fully made of silver, but rather a blend of copper and nickel. This shift in materials was supposed to be straightforward, but as with any large-scale change, things didn't always go as planned. Some coins were struck with unexpected errors, and these small mistakes would go on to make certain 1965 quarters extraordinarily valuable. Now, you might be asking, what kind of errors are we talking about? Great question. The most famous and valuable error associated with the 1965 quarter is a no mint mark error. Normally, quarters produced by the U.S. Mint carry a mint mark to indicate where they were struck. This mint mark is located on the reverse side of the coin, near the bottom. In 1965, however, some quarters were produced without any mint mark at all. This missing mint mark created a rare variation of the 1965 quarter that's highly sought after by collectors today. What makes this error so special? It's all about rarity. While most 1965 quarters were struck with the usual D or S mint marks, indicating they were produced at the Denver and San Francisco mints, respectively, the no mint mark error was a mistake that slipped through the cracks. Only a handful of these mintless quarters were released into circulation, and over time, they've become incredibly rare and incredibly valuable, but that's not the only thing that makes the 1965 quarter stand out. Some of these error coins were also produced with misaligned dies, which means the design on the coin didn't line up properly. This can cause the image of George Washington or the eagle on the reverse side to be off-center, adding another layer of uniqueness and value to the coin. Collectors love these kinds of error coins because they represent mistakes made during production, and as we all know, mistakes can sometimes be worth more than perfection. So, let's talk numbers. How much could a 1965 quarter without a mint mark or with a misaligned die be worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to find one in top condition, the value could be truly extraordinary. A 1965 quarter with no mint mark in uncirculated condition has been known to sell for a staggering $90,000, yes, that's right, $90,000 for a single 25-cent coin. When you think about it, it's almost unbelievable. But that's the power of rarity and historical significance in the world of coin collecting. A simple error made during the minting process in 1965 could turn a quarter into a small fortune. Now, you may be wondering if you have one of these valuable coins in your collection or perhaps in a jar of loose change lying around. How can you tell if you have a 1965 quarter that could be worth so much? Well, the first thing to do is to look closely at the coin. The most obvious feature to check for is the absence of a mint mark. If your 1965 quarter is missing the D for Denver or S for San Francisco mint mark, you might be in luck. Additionally, examine the coin for any signs of misalignment in the design. If the image of Washington or the eagle is off-center, that's another sign that you might have a misaligned die error coin on your hands. Of course, it's important to remember that the condition of the coin is just as important as the error itself. Coins that have been in circulation for years or have visible wear and tear won't be worth as much as coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition. If you think you might have a valuable 1965 quarter, consider having it professionally graded by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. These services will assess the coin's condition, verify its authenticity, and give you an idea of its market value. It's truly incredible to think that something as small and seemingly insignificant as a quarter could be worth so much. It's a reminder that coin collecting is an exciting journey, full of hidden treasures just waiting to be discovered. Whether you're a seasoned collector or a beginner, keep your eyes open, because coins like the 1965 quarter might just be the find of a lifetime. Today, we're diving into the world of a coin that you may have overlooked in the past, the 1982 United States quarter. At first glance, it might seem like just another typical quarter from the 1980s, but trust me, there's more to this coin than meets the eye. In fact, if you happen to own a certain version of the 1982 quarter, you could be sitting on a small fortune worth $71,000. Yes, you read that right, $71,000 for a quarter. Before we get into the details of how a 1982 quarter can be worth so much, let's take a look at the context and history of this coin. The year 1982 was a notable one in the United States for several reasons. The economy was in a transition period, with inflation on the rise, and the country was dealing with some significant social and political changes. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was busy creating coins to meet the demand of an ever-growing population. For the most part, 1982 was a fairly typical year for quarters, with the standard Washington quarter design gracing the coin's face. The obverse, or front, of the 1982 quarter features a portrait of George Washington, the first President of the United States, along with the familiar "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" inscriptions. Beneath Washington's bust, you'll find the year 1982, and the mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco. On the reverse side of the coin, you'll find the familiar eagle in flight, perched on a branch. Surrounding the eagle are the words United States of America and E pluribus unum, with the denomination quarter dollar at the bottom. So, why does a seemingly ordinary 1982 quarter hold such a special place in the world of coin collecting? It all comes down to a rare minting error that makes some of these quarters incredibly valuable. In 1982, the U.S. Mint had been producing coins at an incredibly fast pace to keep up with the needs of the economy. The mint's rapid production and the sheer volume of coins being minted led to some small but significant mistakes during the manufacturing process. These errors, while rare, can turn an otherwise regular coin into a valuable collectible. In the case of the 1982 quarter, there are a few notable errors that have caused certain versions of this coin to skyrocket in value. The most well-known error associated with the 1982 quarter is the no mint mark error. Typically, quarters produced at the Denver Mint will have a D mint mark, and those struck at the San Francisco Mint will bear an S mint mark. But during the production of some 1982 quarters, a small number were struck with no mint mark at all. This happened because the mint mark die, which is used to stamp the mint's location onto the coin, either wore out or failed to imprint on certain quarters. Now, why does this matter? Well, a mint mark is a critical part of a coin's identity. It tells collectors where the coin was struck and can help them determine its rarity. When a quarter is struck without a mint mark, it is considered a rare error coin, and these kinds of mistakes are highly coveted in the world of numismatics. Because these no mint mark 1982 quarters are so rare, they're much more valuable than standard quarters. The most valuable 1982 quarters with this error are those that are in pristine, uncirculated condition. If you happen to find one that has been well preserved over the years, free from scratches, tarnishing, and wear, then you could be looking at a coin worth far more than its face value. The condition of the coin is crucial because it determines just how much collectors are willing to pay for it. Coins that have been well taken care of and are free from significant damage or wear can command top dollar, but it's not just the no mint mark error that makes the 1982 quarter special. There are also coins from this year that were struck with misaligned dies or other subtle mistakes during the minting process. Misaligned dies cause the design to appear off-center, which can make the coin even more unique and appealing to collectors. These small imperfections give the coin a distinct, one-of-a-kind appearance that many collectors are eager to get their hands on. So, how much could these error coins potentially be worth? Well, if you're lucky enough to find a 1982 quarter with the no mint mark error or a misaligned die in perfect condition, you could be holding onto something worth an incredible $71,000. That's the kind of value that certain 1982 quarters can fetch in the marketplace, especially if they're authenticated and graded by professional numismatists. Now, you might be wondering, how can you tell if you've got one of these valuable 1982 quarters sitting in your collection or in your spare change jar? It's a great question, and it all starts with carefully inspecting the coin. First, check the reverse side for any mint mark. If there's no D or S mint mark, then you may have stumbled upon the rare error coin. Next, examine the coin for any signs of misalignment. If the design is noticeably off-center, that could be another indication of a misaligned die error. And, of course, pay close attention to the overall condition of the coin. If it looks like it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, then you're definitely looking at a coin that could be worth much more than 25 cents. If you think you have a valuable 1982 quarter, it's always a good idea to have it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll evaluate the coin, authenticate any errors, and provide a grade that will help you understand its market value. Professional grading is an essential step if you want to get the highest price for your coin when you decide to sell it. Finding a $71,000 quarter may sound like a dream, but with the right knowledge, a keen eye, and a little bit of luck, you just might discover one of these hidden treasures. Whether you're an experienced collector or a beginner just starting your journey, there's always the possibility of uncovering a coin that could change your life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of a coin that's a lot more valuable than you might expect, the 1971 United States quarter. At first glance, this might seem like just another regular quarter from the early 70s, but as we all know, in the world of numismatics, looks can be deceiving. So, what's so special about the 1971 quarter? Well, this coin is far more than just a piece of pocket change. In fact, certain versions of the 1971 quarter can be worth a whopping $77,000. Yes, you heard me right, $77,000 for a quarter. It sounds too good to be true, but trust me, when it comes to rare coins, sometimes the unexpected can yield the greatest rewards. Stick with me as we break down why this quarter is considered a hidden treasure in the world of coin collecting. The 1971 quarter was minted during a time when the U.S. was going through a lot of changes. The country had just come off a tumultuous decade of social and political upheaval, with the civil rights movement and the Vietnam War behind it. The U.S. Mint, meanwhile, was churning out millions of coins to meet the demands of a growing population. While the coin itself might seem unremarkable, there's an interesting story about its design and some key minting errors that make this coin incredibly rare and valuable to collectors. Let's start with the basics. The 1971 quarter features the traditional Washington quarter design, which was introduced in 1932 to honor the first President of the United States, George Washington. The obverse of the coin displays a profile of Washington, along with the inscription, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year, 1971. On the reverse, you'll see the eagle, the symbol of strength and freedom, with the words, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and quarter dollar, surrounding it. The 1971 quarter looks like most quarters produced during the time, but what sets some of them apart is the error in the minting process. Like any large-scale operation, the U.S. Mint occasionally made mistakes during the production of coins, and some of these errors turned out to be highly valuable. The most famous mistake associated with the 1971 quarter involves the D mint mark, or, more specifically, a missing mint mark error. Normally, quarters struck at the Denver Mint have a small D mint mark on the reverse, near the bottom. However, during the minting of some 1971 quarters, a few were struck without the mint mark altogether. The absence of the mint mark on a coin that should have won is a rare minting error that is prized by collectors. This no mint mark version of the 1971 quarter is highly sought after, as it's a rare example of a mistake that managed to slip through the cracks. Another factor that contributes to the value of this coin is its condition. While many of these coins were in circulation for years, some have managed to survive in exceptional shape, free from scratches, dents, or any visible wear and tear. A 1971 quarter in pristine condition is far rarer than one that's been heavily circulated, and when a coin is in uncirculated or mint state condition, it commands a much higher value on the market. But wait, there's more. Aside from the no mint mark error, some of these 1971 quarters were also produced with die cracks or misalignments. A die crack occurs when the die used to strike the coin develops a crack, which can transfer onto the coin's design. These cracks can add to the coin's uniqueness and desirability. Similarly, some 1971 quarters were struck with misaligned dies, which means the design on the coin isn't properly centered. Both of these errors can make a seemingly ordinary quarter into a rare and valuable collectible. So, let's get to the fun part. How much is a 1971 quarter worth? If you happen to come across a no mint mark 1971 quarter in excellent condition, especially if it has been well preserved or is in uncirculated condition, it could fetch an impressive price at auction or from collectors. In fact, depending on its condition, the value of these error coins can skyrocket to a staggering $77,000. Yes, that's right, $77,000 for a single 1971 quarter. It's hard to believe, but rare coins like this one can be worth far more than their face value. The rarity of the no mint mark error, combined with the coin's condition and the collector's demand for such pieces, can lead to huge payouts for lucky coin owners. So, how can you tell if you have one of these valuable 1971 quarters in your collection or spare change? First, check the reverse side of the coin. Look for the mint mark near the bottom. If it's missing, you could be holding a rare, no mint mark coin. Next, inspect the coin for any misalignment or die cracks that might make it even more special. And, of course, check the overall condition of the coin. Coins in mint state or uncirculated condition will have a much higher value than coins that have been heavily worn or circulated. If you think you found a valuable 1971 quarter, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. These services will assess the coin's authenticity, condition, and potential value, giving you a clearer idea of what your coin might be worth. Finding a rare coin like the 1971 no mint mark quarter might seem like a stroke of luck, but it's all about knowing what to look for. Coins like this one are part of the magic of numismatics, the thrill of discovery, the joy of owning a piece of history, and the potential for a big payday. So, the next time you dig through your spare change, remember that a simple 1971 quarter could be hiding an enormous value. With just a little knowledge and attention to detail, you might just discover a coin worth $77,000. Today, we're uncovering the incredible value of a seemingly ordinary coin that's hiding a big secret. We're talking about the 1979 United States quarter. At first glance, it might look just like any other quarter you've seen or used, but let me tell you, this coin is far more valuable than you might think. In fact, some 1979 quarters have been known to sell for $72,000. Yes, you heard that right, $72,000 for a single quarter. Now, you might be asking yourself, how could a 1979 quarter possibly be worth that much? Well, buckle up, because today we're going to explore why this particular quarter is worth so much, what makes it so special, and how you can spot a rare and valuable one in your collection or spare change. To understand why the 1979 quarter could be worth such a hefty sum, we need to take a quick look back at the history of the coin. The 1979 quarter was part of the standard issue of the Washington Quarter series, which was first introduced in 1932 to honor the nation's first president, George Washington. The coin was designed by John Flanagan, and since then, it has undergone only minor changes. On the obverse side of the 1979 quarter, you'll see a profile of George Washington, with the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God we trust," and the year, 1979. The reverse features an eagle in flight, surrounded by the words, United States of America, e pluribus unum, and $quarter. But what's so special about the 1979 quarter? Well, the coin itself isn't particularly rare. It was minted in large numbers in Philadelphia and Denver. In fact, nearly 1 billion 1979 quarters were produced, so you might be wondering why some are worth so much. The answer lies in a rare error that occurred during the minting process, one that is prized by collectors for its uniqueness. You see, the 1979 quarter has some interesting minting errors that make certain versions of the coin incredibly valuable. One of the most famous errors associated with the 1979 quarter is the D mint mark error. Most quarters produced at the Denver Mint carry a small D mint mark on the reverse side, beneath the eagle. However, in some cases, certain 1979 quarters were struck without the D mint mark, creating a no mint mark error. This missing mint mark error is particularly intriguing because it is a very rare mistake that was caused by a malfunction in the minting process. The D mint mark is supposed to be applied during the striking of the coin, but for some 1979 quarters, the mint mark failed to appear. This mistake makes the coin much more valuable than its face value, especially if it's in good condition. Now, while this error is significant, it's the condition of the coin that really drives up its value. Coins that have been in circulation for years tend to show wear and tear, scratches, discoloration, and fading designs are common. However, a 1979 quarter that has been well preserved, free from damage or heavy wear, is much rarer. Coins in uncirculated or mint state condition are always more desirable to collectors because they represent a coin that has been virtually untouched by time. When it comes to the 1979 quarter, uncirculated coins can command much higher prices. A well-preserved, no mint mark error coin, especially in mint condition, can easily fetch a premium price in the market. That's where the potential for a $72,000 quarter comes into play. Another element that contributes to the value of the 1979 quarter is its historical significance. Coins like these are a window into the past, representing a time in U.S. history when the country was moving into a new decade. In 1979, the U.S. was facing a lot of changes: economic instability, inflation, and political shifts. For coin collectors, owning a piece of that era, especially one with a rare minting error, is a special experience. So, how can you identify if you found a rare 1979 quarter that might be worth thousands of dollars? First, take a close look at the reverse side of the coin. Pay particular attention to the mint mark. If there's no D mint mark, you might have stumbled upon a no mint mark error coin. Next, inspect the overall condition of the coin. If it's been well preserved and shows minimal signs of wear, you could be holding onto a valuable collector's item. It's also worth mentioning that coins with other types of minting errors can be valuable as well. For example, if you find a 1979 quarter with die cracks, misalignments, or other subtle errors, those coins are likely to have a higher value as well. These errors are often one of a kind, and collectors love the uniqueness that comes with them. If you do think you found a valuable 1979 quarter, the next step is to have it professionally graded. Coin grading services like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can provide an expert evaluation of your coin. They'll determine the coin's authenticity, grade its condition, and offer a price estimate based on its rarity and quality. So, what's the bottom line? If you have a 1979 quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition with a no mint mark error, you could potentially sell it for $72,000. That's right, this seemingly ordinary quarter could be worth a small fortune if it's in the right condition and carries the right error. Coin collecting is a thrilling hobby, and the rewards can be incredible if you know where to look. With a bit of luck, you might just find a hidden treasure in your pocket change or your old coin collection. A simple 1979 quarter could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Today's video will have you looking at your quarters with a whole new perspective. In this video, we're diving into a coin that may seem ordinary at first glance but holds an extraordinary secret. Yes, we're talking about the 1974 United States quarter, a coin that could potentially be worth $77,000. It might sound unbelievable, but trust me, it's true. Let's explore why this 1974 quarter is worth so much, and how you might be holding a rare treasure without even knowing it. the 1974 quarter was part of the standard issue of Washington quarters, which have been in circulation since 1932. As with other quarters in the series, the 1974 version features George Washington on the obverse, along with the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the year, 1974. On the reverse, you'll find the majestic eagle soaring above, with the inscriptions, "United States of America, E Pluribus Unum," and "$quarter," surrounding it. At first glance, the 1974 quarter doesn't seem all that special. After all, millions of them were minted and spent in circulation. However, error coins have a way of slipping through the cracks, and the 1974 quarter is no exception. This coin, in certain rare conditions, could be worth far more than its face value. But what makes the 1974 quarter so special in the world of coin collecting? Let's dig deeper. One of the key factors that contributes to the 1974 quarter's value is a minting error that occurred during the production process. The most famous of these errors is the double die variety. Double die coins are created when the design on the coin is struck more than once by the die, resulting in a double image of the coin's design. This error often occurs during the minting process when the die is misaligned or the coin is struck multiple times in the same spot. In the case of the 1974 quarter, the double die error is extremely rare, and it's highly sought after by collectors. The double die effect can be seen on the obverse side of the coin, where the inscriptions, "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date, 1974, are doubled. This gives the coin a unique appearance, making it stand out from the millions of regular 1974 quarters that were minted. A double die 1974 quarter is a true collector's dream, and finding one is like striking gold, but it's not just the double die error that makes the 1974 quarter so valuable. The condition of the coin is equally important. As with any coin, the better the condition, the more valuable it becomes. Coins that have been in circulation for years tend to show signs of wear, such as scratches, discoloration, or fading of the design. However, a 1974 quarter that has been well preserved and is in uncirculated or mint state condition is much rarer. An uncirculated 1974 quarter that has been carefully stored and protected will often have sharp, crisp details and little to no signs of wear. These coins are extremely desirable to collectors because they represent a piece of U.S. history that hasn't been altered by years of circulation. The condition of a coin plays a major role in its value, and a pristine, uncirculated 1974 quarter with a double die error could be worth thousands, if not tens of thousands, of dollars. In addition to the double die error, there are also other types of minting mistakes that can make the 1974 quarter worth more than expected. For example, some 1974 quarters were struck with misaligned dies, which means the design was not properly centered on the coin. These coins can have an unusual, off-center appearance, and collectors often seek them out for their uniqueness. Misaligned dies are rare, and they can add considerable value to a coin. There's also the possibility of finding a coin with a die crack. A die crack occurs when a crack forms in the die used to strike the coin. This crack can transfer onto the coin's design, leaving behind a distinct mark. Die cracks are often one-of-a-kind features, and coins with visible die cracks can command higher prices because they're considered unique. So, how do you know if you have one of these valuable 1974 quarters in your collection or spare change? The first thing to do is to inspect the obverse side of the coin for any signs of the double die error. Look closely at the inscriptions. If you notice that the words, "Liberty, in God We Trust," or the year, 1974, appear doubled, then you've found a coin with the coveted double die feature. Next, check the overall condition of the coin. If it's in mint condition, with crisp details and no signs of heavy circulation, then you may have a rare find on your hands. And of course, if you notice any other minting errors, such as misalignment or die cracks, those are also worth noting as they can increase the coin's value. Once you've identified a potential rare 1974 quarter, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded by a trusted coin grading service. PCGS, Professional Coin Grading Service, and NGC, Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, are two of the most reputable grading companies. They will assess the authenticity of your coin, evaluate its condition, and give you a more accurate estimate of its value. Now, let's get to the moment you've all been waiting for. How much can a 1974 quarter actually be worth? If you happen to find a double-die 1974 quarter in uncirculated condition, it could fetch a mind-blowing $77,000. Yes, you read that correctly, $77,000 for a single quarter. The rarity of the double-die error, combined with the coin's condition, makes it an incredibly sought-after piece among collectors, and it can command a jaw-dropping price at auction or private sale. Of course, not every 1974 quarter is worth this much, but if you've got one with a double-die error, misaligned dies, or any other minting mistake, you could be holding onto a rare treasure that's worth far more than its face value. So, the next time you're going through your pocket change or sorting through your coin collection, take a close look at your 1974 quarters. Who knows, you might just find a $77,000 gem hidden in plain sight. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed learning about the 1974 quarter and want to discover more rare coins that could be worth a small fortune, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of our exciting coin discoveries. Keep hunting, keep collecting, and remember, your next big find could be just around the corner. Happy collecting!